だって、去年は聡子の叔母だろ。順番から言えば、決しておかしくはないだろう。
そうだね。そういう順序もあるね。
第一あいつ、去年のたたりで叔母が死んだ後、聡子を放り出して丸1年、町に逃げ出してたじゃないか。そんなやつ、もろにお社様のたたり確定じゃないかよ。今年のたたりに選んでも不足はないはずだぜ。
Technically speaking, that is true. He did live for a year and is still alive. Like, if we're to go with Oyashiro's pattern rate of year, that's a big no-no.
そうだね。今年のたたりであいつが死んでも、多分みんな納得するね。
俺、聞いたんだ。お社様のたたりってのは、その...
No matter how I looked at it, I wasn't sure whether I should continue. No matter how I tried, the words wouldn't come out.
Hinamizawa 連続開始事件。通称、お社様のたたりは、園崎家が主導で御三家が起こしている村ぐるみの事件だ。でしょ？
別に俺は、それにミオンが関わってるとか、そんなのには興味がないんだ。ただ、もしも、そういうたたりを決めている連中に渡りがつくなら、聡子の叔父をたたりに選ぶように、言ってほしいだけなんだ。頼む。
ケイちゃんの言ってる内容は、さっきから本当にひどいこと。Hinamizawa連続開始事件が、園崎家主導の事件なんだとしたら、それじゃあ、主犯格は私ってことだよね。私がたたりを決め、指示をし、何人も殺めて消したことになる。ケイちゃんは私を人殺し呼ばわりするんだ。
だから、言ってるじゃないか。ミオンが連続殺人の主犯だろうと、無関係だろうと、俺はたとえミオンが殺人犯だって、俺の親友であることには何も関係ないじゃないか。
I mean, when you look at this, Keiichi, if we were to say that this whole thing is true, I mean that you, Keiichi, and Mion would be part of the plan. Yeah, you two would also be culprits in this entire thing too.
それでも全然構わないんだぜ。警察に追われたら助けてやる。お前のアリバイを作ってやるし、逃走だって助けてやる。仲間で親友だからだ。そうだろ。
Mion looked surprised for a while. She was dumbfounded.
いきなり共犯宣言？ケイちゃん、かなり大胆だよ、それ。
I mean, if we're going by this scenario that Keiichi is going for, yeah.
いいから話の腰を折るな。聡子の叔父を今年のたたりに。
ケイちゃん、ストップ。そろそろご飯の準備をしたいから、今日はこれくらいにしたいんだけど。
ミオン。
I then realized that my cheeks were wet with tears. And I slid down my chin and fell, drip drop, to the tatami mat.
最初から言ってる通り、ケイちゃんは大きな勘違いをしてる。お社様のたたりは、お社様のたたり。たとえ人間の起こした事件であったにせよ、それは園崎家とは、ましてや私とは何の関係もないよ。
ああ、それは分かっているさ。
だから、ケイちゃんの必死の訴えには胸を打たれるけど、それだけ。私が叶えてあげたくても、叶えてあげられない。
I mean, you know, a reminder. In chapter 1, she did say at some point that she doesn't believe in that curse. Now, it could also be true that it has nothing to do with the Sonozakis either. So,
それもわかるね。
I just wanted to point that out. For the record, for the future.
でも、ケイちゃんの気持ちは痛いくらいに分かったよ。もしも本当に私が、ケイちゃんの言うように、御三家を操って毎年の犠牲者を選べる立場にあったなら、きっと私は、ケイちゃんの願いを叶えているよ。
ミオ！
でも現実は違う。私はただの園崎ミオン。確かに園崎家はいろいろな意味で悪い噂を持ってhinamizawa沢を影から支配している一族だけれども、連続開始事件とは何の関係もない。ダム闘争では確かに少々過激な抵抗もしたけれど、それだけ。人殺しなんて大それたこと絶対にやらないよ。
And you know what's worse? Now that Keiichi did something like this, when the uncle is gonna die, which I'm starting to think that he truly will die as the next victim of the Watanagashi festival, Keiichi is gonna think that Mion and the Sonozakis did this. Even if Mion right over here is saying otherwise. Well, if we are to go by detective fiction / murder mystery rules and such, when something is so obvious, when something feels like it is too obvious, then it wouldn't be. If we were to think before that the Sonozakis are the ones that did it, now it doesn't feel like it anymore with this whole discussion that we had here. Like, you could say that Mion is lying out of her ass right over here, and truly the Sonozakis are part of this, but no. Like, I look at her face right now, and it just tells me like it just yells honesty right over here. Like, I don't think that the Sonozakis I don't think that the Sonozakis have done this. Like, it's too obvious, and, you know, I want to believe Mion in this.
そんな悲しいこと言うなよ。せめて今だけでも嘘でもいいからうなずいてくれればいいじゃないか。
ケイちゃん、夢を見るのは勝手。私がここでうなずいてみせれば、ケイちゃんは聡子があさっての夜に解放されると信じて肩の荷を下ろすことができるんだろうけどね。でも無情にも聡子の叔父はあさっての夜も超える。来週になっても再来週になっても居続ける。それを覚悟してね。私は綿流しの次の日になぜ殺さなかったなんてケイちゃんに詰め寄られたくない。
ミオ。
Mion stood up slowly and closed the sliding door to keep out the wind that had grown chilly. Or if there was somebody out there that is sneaking in and hearing the conversation or something.
ミオさんかな。ケイちゃんにそんな話を吹き込んだのは。あの人、hinamizawa沢をいい感じに誤解してるからな。まあ、本人が一人で楽しんでる分にはいいんだけど。ケイちゃんを感化するのはいただけないな。
I mean, you know, it does make me think back. In like 1983, in chapter 1 and chapter 2, Tomitake and Mio Takano have been the victims of the Watanagashi festival. In chapter 2 for sure, they were the victims. This could very well be a constant. Like, soon enough the Watanagashi is gonna come, and we're gonna see who the victims are. And if it's Tomitake and Mio Takano again, then I guess that sells it. It will be a constant. Every single year, Tomitake and Mio Takano are gonna have to die no matter what. Like, no matter what actions are taken in each chapter, they are going to be the constant, and not Tepe. I guess we shall see.
やれやれ。これだからよそ者は。
高野さんは関係ないからな。
はいはい。でも安心して。仮にミオさんがケイちゃんに喋ったと分かったって、別にどうにもならないんだから。別にミオさんが今年のたたりに選ばれるわけじゃない。そもそも、今年もたたりがあるかどうかなんてわからないよ。あんなの、不幸な偶然がただ積み重なっただけなんだからさ。
聞いてくれてありがとな。
Yeah, thank you, Mion.
もしもミオンが連続事件と何の関係もなかったなら、本当謝っておくな。
そうだね。謝っておいてくれるかな。
Mion said she didn't have much time, but she still brought me to the gate. She said she had a meeting or something today about Sunday's Watanagashi festival, so there will be a lot of people from the town council and the festival committee coming. Despite her day being so busy, she still listened to what I had to say.
天に神様がいるならさ、きっと、ケイちゃんの強い思いは伝わるから。
あ、今日は変な話をして本当にごめんな。今日の話はなかったことにしてくれていい。
I mean, you know, all this time we are talking about a very, very, very naughty god in the form of Oyashiro who has been killing people and had made people suffer. Why can't we have a god that understands how Keiichi feels? Granted, that would mean the death of another person, but, you know, can't we at least have like a god that understands how Keiichi feels, that he is doing this out of love? No? Okay.
忘れておくよ。
じゃあ明日な。
バイバイ。
Well, that was totally not awkward at all. I had really only spent a short time with Mion. Talking to her made me think. I mean, it was clear that what Takano-san had told me, at least, wasn't a complete fabrication. If Mion was really, really unconnected to the instance, then she probably wouldn't have listened to me so quietly. Nah, I'd say it is the opposite. It is because of all these years of this Oyashiro nonsense and such. She kinda knows this stuff to the point where you should act accordingly and listen to whatever it is you have to say in a calming manner at this point, because she heard it like so much at this point that, well, she's definitely being considerate of Keiichi, despite what she believes is nonsense. She heard me out until I was done without making any quips, and I wanted to think that was proof. I did kind of feel like I was grasping at straws. Of course, thinking back on it, it was a terrible thing to discuss. I mean, I went to my friend's house, called her a serial murderer, and then told her to kill Satoko's uncle. Yeah. I was the only one talking that whole time. Mion quietly listened to everything I had to say, like a pastor listening to a confession. Mion quietly listened to everything I had to say, like a pastor listening to a confession. She could have gotten angry partway through, told me off, and then to go wash my face in miso soup and come back later. I was gonna ask if that is such a thing, but anyway, but she didn't. Was that proof that Mion's family, the Sonozaki, were the masterminds? Or was she just listening because she felt sorry for me going kind of crazy? I didn't know which it was. But it was the one effort I could make at the moment. It was another form of insurance. Should worse come to worse and the public agency decide to wait and see. I guess. It was a completely useless resistance. Literally grasping at straws. Sensei said that if she reported it to the Child Consultation Center, they have to respond on the same day. Could they already be in the middle of responding to it now? If Satoko came to school tomorrow morning all energetic, then everything would be just a needless fear. Well, even if they did intervene, I doubt that Satoko would come tomorrow. She'd definitely be questioned at the police station and such, but why couldn't tomorrow come faster? That night was unusually hot and humid, and I couldn't get to sleep. I said all that to Sensei. They couldn't possibly decide to wait and see again this year. Satoko, what was it like for her tonight? Had she tasted the end of her nightmare? Enjoying a night of liberation? I actually put my hands together and prayed into my futon. I'm gonna wish her the best. Like, I really, really wish peace for her. Good morning, Rihanna.
おはよ
Ohio.
よかった。今日もお寝坊かと思ったよ。昨日はおばさまには先に行ったって言われるし、学校には来ていないし、途中で日射病で倒れちゃったのかなって心配してたんだから。
う。へいへい。昨日は心配かけて申し訳ございませんでした。
Maybe Keiichi was right. Like, his parents thought that he went ahead or something. I was thinking that it was an emergency and they left much earlier, but nah, apparently not.
Hey, good morning!
Good morning to you too.
みーちゃん、おはよう。大丈夫？なんかすっごく眠そうだよ。
そういえば昨日は遅くまで町会の人が集まっての打ち合わせ会だったんだろ？
打ち合わせ会なんて名ばかりの宴会だよ。毎年やってるお祭りだもん。今さら小難しい打ち合わせなんかないし。
今日の午後はやっぱりお祭りのお手伝いに行くのかな？
うん。バッチャの代わりにいろいろ挨拶しなきゃなんないし。
Alright.
それにね、祭りってのは準備からもう始まってるからね。
Our morning conversation was lighthearted as usual. It looked like Mion had thankfully forgotten about how I barged into her house yesterday with that crazy talk. The more I think back on it, I feel like I'd really said something terrible to her. I was really thoughtless, and it wouldn't have been weird if she yelled at me. It was highly possible Takano-san had exaggerated our story. Or maybe even more than that. To think that our comrade and friend, Mion, the young leader of the Sonozakis, one of the three families effectively controlling Hinamizawa, was pulling the strings behind the seal of death instance. It was a little unbelievable. 'Cause, I don't know. With that whole talk that we had with Mion yesterday, it kind of made me think a little bit more on wanting to check on Mion, to check on Mio Takano a little bit more, just keep my eyes on her more than usual. Like, I'm starting to think of some stuff. Like, thinking that she is a lot more involved in the instance than I usually thought. But if there was even a 1% chance that it was true, then what I said yesterday to Mion might have been a success. Yes, it was no more than 1 in 100, but that little bit of effort might have brought the chances of saving Satoko up by even a tiny bit. At least I made that effort. After yesterday ended, I'm sure I'd done everything I possibly could. If there was something else I could do, it was probably just to clap my hands and pray that Satoko's uncle would be killed by the curse.
サトコ、今日は来ているといいな。
そうだね。先生がいろいろと手配してくれたんでしょ？うん。きっと大丈夫だよ。
Hinamizawa地区の民生委員が私のおばさんなんだけどさ。ゆうべ、電話して聞いてみたよ。
Oh?
へえ、みーちゃんのおばさんって民生委員さんなんだね。
Of course she is. Again, the Sonozakis are connected to everything.
それで、さとこちゃんのこと、なんて言ってたの？
うん。先生があの後、直接県の児童相談所に電話してね。児童福祉士が夕べのうちに訪問したらしいよ。私のおばさんにも今後定期的にアプローチするようにと連絡があったって。
小難しい話はいいよ。それより、サトコはどうなったんだよ。保護されたのか？
おばさんはそこまでは知らされてなかったみたい。本来はこういうのって秘密だからね。おばさんが私に話してくれたのも十分に倫理違反なんだしさ。
くそ、かえって不安になったぞ。
行こう、学校に。
Right. Discussing this more would just make us feel worse. It was far quicker to go to school and see if Satoko was safe or not. Again, just saying, if they were to go with a extreme yet satisfactory solution by barging in and taking Satoko away from the uncle, they'd question her today to the point where she wouldn't be at school. Like, she wouldn't go to school yet. They'd have to go through so much. Like, you know, like legal documenting crap and stuff like that. She wouldn't just go back to like the usual house with Rika as well. Like, not yet at least. If they went that far. The three of us nodded and ran off. Satoko safe? What measures had the Child Consultation Center taken? I didn't care what. As long as we could go back to our peaceful life with Satoko today, it didn't matter to me. At the shoe racks of the entrance, Ran took a peek in Satoko's shoe cubby. You know, guys, I do have to apologize. I feel like I'm screwing up my English a lot more, like, at the very least in the recent parts and such. Not only am I having like a hard time forming my ideas in the first place, but I'm also making like grammar mistakes more than usual. Again, I do have to mention this, English is not my first language, and I am pretty good at English. It's just that I guess sometimes I just, you know, like that. Just completely blah.
さとこちゃんの靴あるよ、あるよ。
Hey, there you go. Okay.
ケイちゃん、サトコは来てるよ。
Well, that's a lovely impression of Mion you did there, Rana.
よかった。
来てるだけじゃわからないだろ。
What the fuck?
サトコの顔を見るまで何もわかるものか。
We trotted towards the classroom. The classroom was lively, as it usually was in the morning.
サトコ、どこだ？
ここにちゃんといますですよ。朝っぱらから騒々しいですわね。少しはお静かになさいませ。
My lovely baby. I missed you so much.
さとこちゃん、大丈夫だった？
All of our friends crowded around Satoko excitedly. Well, we may be excited, but we gotta hear from Satoko. Maybe, like, okay, maybe the uncle is gonna be at least a tiny bit smart and let Satoko come to school at least once per week or something like that, even though it makes no goddamn sense. So, maybe nothing just happened, and Satoko just came to school because the uncle let him.
保護士来たんでしょ？
Let's see.
どういう話になったわけ？
呼んだのはどなたですの？まったく、どんな騒ぎでしたのよ。
先生だよ。あれだけ欠席すりゃ心配もする。
Satoko said, I told you I'm fine, under her breath. She was still trying to overcome all the suffering on her own.
私もおじさまもとんだ迷惑でしたのよ。急にあんなに人に押しかけられて、もう。みんなさとこちゃんのこと心配してたんだよ。迷惑だなんて言わないで。
ああ、もうとにかくそれでどうなったんだよ。
どうもこうもしませんわ。風邪が治ったから学校に来ただけのことですのよ。これからはあんまりお休みして心配をかけないようにしないといけませんわね。
What was Satoko saying?
おじさんはどうなったの？ええ、多少誤解があったことを認めて、二人でごめんなさいをしまして。
I guess so. I guess this is a case of the person from the child welfare just came in, talked to the uncle, gave him a little slap on the wrist, and he just quote unquote apologized, said it was nothing. And then today he lets Satoko back to school, and then she's gonna come back home and it's all gonna repeat once again. So, nothing changed. Tug. Rika-chan grabbed the back of my collar and pulled me away.
なんだよ、リカちゃん。
Rika-chan suddenly dragged me all the way into the hallway.
リカちゃん、あれはどういうことだよ。
さとこは、何でもないと言って追い返してしまいました。
バカ野郎！なんで？
No. Somewhere in my mind, I thought it might turn out like this. Satoko didn't ask for anyone's help. She didn't hide behind anyone. She was trying to ride out this pain. She wanted to show Satoshi proof that if he came back to them, she wouldn't need to hide behind him anymore.
だけど、監督に聞いた話じゃ、保護士ってのは本人の意思に関係なく緊急保護をすることができるんだろ？いくら聡子が虐待を否定したって、虐待は事実。
Chie-sensei finally came. Her expression was far from cheerful.
ええ、前原くんの言う通り、児童福祉士は緊急性があると判断すれば、職権で緊急保護をすることができます。当事者の意思に関係なく。
じゃあどうして聡子の意思が変に尊重されて保護されないことに？
それに沖宮の相談所もいろいろ検討した末にそういう判断を。
なんだよそりゃ！先生、昨日あんた絶対に助けるから大丈夫って言わなかったか？これはどういうことだよ！おかしいじゃねえかよ！おい！
圭一、実は聡子の児童虐待の通報は過去にも2回あったのです。
古出さん。
Sensei tried to stop her, But Rika-chan went on speaking anyway.
過去に2度一昨年の冬に通報して様子見になったって話は聞いてるが、その前にもあったのか？
聡子の死んでしまったお父さんは聡子の本当のお父さんではないのです。
え？リカちゃん、それが
I'm stunned at the sudden revelation. I had no idea what Rika-chan wanted to tell me. But it seemed really important, so I couldn't get a word in either.
聡子のお母さんは再婚なのです。聡子と聡はお母さんの連れ子で、お父さんとは血はつながっていなかったのです。
Satoshi was a good kid, one who listened politely to what the adults told him. He was immediately welcomed by their new father, and was loved. But Satoko was different. She was rebellious, she told lies, she played pranks. Her stepfather didn't like her at all.
つまりどういうことだよ？
聡子はおじ夫婦に預けられる以前の家族の時もあまり良好な家族関係ではなかったのです。
Of course, her stepfather didn't have any malicious intent at the start. At first, he must have worked hard to get his new daughter to accept him. But the young Satoko didn't make any effort at all towards that end. She was distant towards her stepfather, and never opened her heart to him even a little. She just got on his nerves all the time, with seemingly forced lies and pranks. Her father's discipline and punishment must have been loving at first, of course, but that too faded quickly. I mean, Satoko is young. She was a baby, like, years ago. She probably really loved, she more than likely really loved her original father. So when you see like a completely new stranger like take your father's place, like marrying your mother, it kind of stinks for someone like Satoko. So she didn't really feel like reciprocating the stepfather's love. So yeah, she continued doing pranks and lies. I did say before that if Satoko did pranks to her parents, it was because the parents were neglectful. But nah, I guess it would be the opposite way around. Like, Satoko started doing pranks to her stepfather in rebellion because she didn't like him.
私はその時はHinamizawaにいなかったからよく知らないけれど、昨日電話で初めて知りました。
先生が聞いたのはどんな話ですか？
聡子ちゃんが両親、特に義理のお父さんを陥れるのを目的に嘘の話を作って、
A false story.
自分で生活相談所に電話したって。
Oh God.
自称と作り話？
Oh my God. Okay, so maybe... Because, okay, Erika did say that this happened like twice in the past. One would be last year, and the other one would be the one that was talked about in like the article, / in the documents and such, in the tips, in 1980, from what I remember, the year. But I thought it was after the parents died. I thought that it was when the uncle and the aunt took Satoko and Satoshi in, and they started abusing them, and then the report would come into the child welfare, and thus we would have that first reporting happen. But no, it actually happened when they were with the original parents, with their mother and the stepfather.
聡子は嫌いなお父さんを追い払うため嘘の電話をしたのです。
Child welfare officers rushed there and heard the story. Her father gently apologized for a few times when he had gone too far, and agreed to let the child welfare center give him coaching.
いろいろと関係機関が調べた結果ね、ギフとさとこちゃんの心のすれ違いに原因があることは分かったんだけど、それ以上にさとこちゃん自身に問題があることが分かったの。
さとこに問題って何です？
Satoko's mother. There were a few times where she had lived with the de facto husbands, though those relationships didn't result in remarriage. From a young age, Satoko had been forced to call at least 2 or 3 people her father. At least 2. So there could have been a third one, maybe even a fourth. At some point, Satoko's pranks escalated. She would spill food on purpose, turn over the plate, turn over her plate, and even throw it. She would break the windows in the neighborhood and shoplift candy. She would put thumbtacks everywhere and set other traps to seriously hurt people. Not in the way she did now, just to get laughs. She was also fond of telling lies that would be found out right away, and people got mad at her every time. But she never, ever changed her behavior.
さとこちゃんのことを問題児なんて思わないでね。これは幼いさとこちゃんが母親を知らない男に取られまいとして取った自衛的な行為なの。
In regards to Satoko's problematic behavior, child psychology experts from public institutions indicated her actions were to draw her mother's attention to herself. They acknowledged that she had a form of harmful emotional trauma, and declared that she needed counseling and therapy from professionals. Well, there you go. Doing pranks to grab the mother's attention. They didn't know whether that therapy had healed the wounds in her heart.
さとこちゃんはわざと体に傷を作り、お父さんに虐待を受けているとね。自分で通報してお父さんを追い出そうとした。
でも結局さとこをいじめてたわけだろ、その義父は。
いいえ、虐待の話は全部さとこちゃんの作り話だった。義理のお父さんはもちろん少し感情的な叱り方をしてしまったかもしれないけど、逸脱しているほどではなかったの。
Satoko had lied to chase away her stepfather, and they saw through her right away and found out that Satoko had issues. Oh my god. Okay, well, I guess this brings up a new spin to Satoko going through a trial of suffering here. Not only is Satoko continuing to suffer through the abuse right over here and not even accept the help of the child welfare, not only because of the whole Satoshi leaving and wanting him to come back after she suffered long enough. No, it's not just because of the atonement for Satoshi, but also the atonement for the parents as well, for what she did to them. 'Cause it is because of Satoko's actions that she thinks that both the parents died. And she must have realized that the stepfather and the mother were not that bad people. And that what she did was horrible, especially to the stepfather. And now ended up in worse hands. In the hands of the uncle and aunt. So, right now, the fact that people from the child welfare are coming in to see about the abuse over here, that emotionally scars Satoko to the point where she doesn't want to go through that same mistake, or rather, It's like her way of punishing herself for all the calls that she did, like as pranks, back when the stepfather and the mother were still alive.
ひょっとして、そのせいで、一昨年の冬は様子見に。
はい。児童相談所に、ちゃんと昔の記録が残ってましたですから。聡子の嘘の可能性もあるから慎重に、ということになりましたのです。
なんだよ、それ。つまり、なんだよ。聡子は、嘘をつくかもしれないから、慎重に。だから、様子を見ろってことになってるのかよ。
狼と羊飼いさんなのです。
That fable about telling a lie once, making others willing to believe you later.
ふざけんなよ。昔のことなんか全然無関係だろう。今現在起こっている事実だけが重要なんだろうが。
That is true.
聡子はおじに虐待されている。どうしてその事実が昔の出来事で歪められなきゃならねえんだよ。
Neither Sensei nor Rika-chan had anything to say to that.
とにかく、それを慎重に判断するために、保護士さんが昨日、訪れましたのです。
And Satoko dealt with them, put on the best, strongest smile she could manage, and denied the abuse. Of course, she was probably being threatened to keep quiet about it by her uncle. Satoko was trying to outlast everything without asking for help. Satoko wanted to wait for Satoshi to come back home. And she outright denied the truth of the abuse. What an idiot. What? You're not really enduring it. Do you really think pretending like this will actually bring Satoshi back? That's what I was trying to say before, Keiichi. Like, this stuff is not working until we actually talk to Satoko about all this. Like, convince her that what she's thinking of is wrong. Just stop it already. Satoshi, he abandoned you. The fact that he hasn't shown up to save you now is proof, isn't it? So just stop it. Please stop being weird and pretending to endure it.
今した話は全部忘れるように。いいですね。他の子に喋ったら先生怒りますからね。
Chien-sensei gave me a warning, then left to go back to the teacher's lounge.
圭一、聡子のことをかわいそうな子なんて思わないでくださいです。聡子はしっかり生きていますです。聡子は。
そんなの分かってる。俺たちのかけがえのない仲間だ。
聡子はまだ頑張っています。もう少し見守ってあげましょうです。相談所の人が今後も定期的に訪問すると言ってるのです。大変なことになったらすぐに助けてくれますよ。
大変なことになった後だろ。
Any more than that would have sounded like I was picking a fight. So I firmly swallowed my next words and went back to the classroom. You know, this is why this tactic of actually visiting the house and talking to the parent in the first place, that's a bad idea. Because of course the abuser is going to be on their best behavior once they find out that, hey, there's somebody from the child welfare who is checking up on them. You gotta spy on them. You gotta it's like in similar fashion to like the pedophile cases, where the pedophile is caught without even knowing that people are, like, the police are looking at them, like searching on them and such. Stuff like that. It's just, you gotta catch them when they least expect it, when they don't even know that they're being called on by the child welfare. Like, this is stupid. Miana and Rena were talking to Satoko like they always did. It was a city conversation. A humorous, even fun one, like it was any old day. If Satoko really said she could still endure it, then maybe I should do as Rika-chan said and watch over her. Maybe whatever help I offer will just go unwanted. Phew.
さて、お昼でございますわね。
I don't like this music as well. Oh, these last parts have been so heavy for me. My god. Child abuse story is not something that I had on my bingo card. For Higurashi, that's for sure. Although something that, of course, makes sense for someone like Ryukishi. My god. I swear, we're gonna have like another child abuse story in like the next stuff that Ryukishi writes. Like, what was it again? Like Seconia is like the third one. Like, we're gonna have like a child abuse in that one, and I'm gonna be like, ugh. Like, you gotta calm down with your child abuse, like social worker stories there, Ryukishi. Like, we get it. You're good. You're an expert on this stuff. Like, calm the fuck down. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Me.
5人揃ってのお昼は久しぶりだね。やっぱりこうじゃないとダメだよね。
まったく同感同感。ほらほらケイちゃんも机寄せて。
Satoko brought her own desk over as well, grinning broadly. Alright, even knowing nothing had been resolved, this exchange was pleasant, and made me remember how fun it used to be.
いつまでもリカにお弁当を作ってもらっては悪いですわね。いいのですよ。さとこのお弁当を作るのは僕の楽しみなのです。
Rika-chan's such a good girl. Even such a good friend must be so reassuring.
僕に大きなハンバーグを入れて、さとこには焦げたのを入れて。
The burned one.
さとこだけかわいそでニパー。
I take it back. She is Rika-chan after all.
ほらほら、見て見て。今日はほら、オムライスなんだよ。
Omurais.
マッシュルームとか美味しそうだよね。はう。
Fungi?
いつもながらお見事なお手前でございましたよ。いつお嫁に行ってもおかしくない腕前ですわね。お嫁。お嫁を食べると。
Eating a wife?
レナにお嫁は NG ワードだね。以後控えるように。
ほんのちょっぴり反省しましたよ。
ところでミオンの弁当はなんだよ。今日のはまた趣が違って期待大だな。
おじさんはまったりと夕べのおかず詰め合わせね。煮物がいい感じなんだよ。ほら大根の色はかなりいいでしょ。わあ、
美味しそうなのです。
煮物は一晩寝かせてからが真骨頂だな。これはかなりいけそうだ。よってさとこの分はなし。俺が全部食って感想を聞かせるから黙って見てろ。
なんですって？私の分もおよこしなさいな。
Elbow punch, headbutt. Combo, I'll use my knees too. Oh yeah!
密着距離まで入れば私の有利は動きませんわね。
True enough.
ケイチさんの分のお大根が実に美味しいですわ。
ちっくしょう。バトル開始時から密着でいきなりコンボとは。無念。
This exchange How long had it been? It looked like they'd end up going with the wait-and-see approach. But maybe her uncle had realized he'd gone a little too far and would dial it back now. For now, that is. If her treatment improved a little, would that be a good thing? Satoko was grinning wider than I'd ever seen as she chomped down on her mouthful of the daikon she plundered from me. Did it really taste that good? Oh. Well, she was smiling like quite a lot, except for this moment right over here. Sadako was somewhat cute like that. And just as I've done many times, I grabbed her head and started petting it. Catch. Smack, flip flop, clatter clatter.
さとこちゃん
It was so sudden that for a moment I didn't know what had happened. The back of my hand was stinging. I went to pet Satoko's hand, and then she hit my hand. Oh god! Don't tell me. It's an instinct, like instinctual reaction to sexual abuse, isn't it? It reminded her of the uncle.
どうしたの、さとこ。
Satoko was scratching at her hand, as though a pimple or something had appeared on it and become itchy. It was so sudden and so unprovoked that I didn't understand what had happened.
どうしたサトコ
At some point, her body had been covered in a thin layer of sweat, and her breathing had turned ragged. Oh god. She's having a panic attack here. You gotta be kidding me. I pet her head. Did she not like it? Was that what it meant?
お前頭撫でられるの嫌いだったっけ
Once again, slowly, I held out the palm of my hand and brought it close to Satoko's. No! The instant the palm of my hand touched her hand, there was a shock like static electricity, and Satoko began to howl. Oh god. Thud. Slam. She grabbed my arm in both hands, and then as if flinging off a snake trying to cling to her, as if trying to throw away something dirty, she threw it violently. It happened too suddenly for me to react. I had the desk behind me, and both it and I fell to the floor. The classroom fell deathly silent. As Satoko bellowed, it sounded like she was in the throes of death, and she unsteadily backed away. Then she threw up the food she had just eaten. She vomited it all back up. Splash splat. The sound of Satoko's vomit hitting the floor rang through the classroom.
大丈夫かよサトコ具合でも
I reached out a hand, and she swatted it away with all her might. With such extreme strength that I fell onto the floor again. Satoko put both hands on her head as though protecting it, groaned some more, and took a few steps back. And then she began swinging both hands around. Students in nearby seats were forced to evacuate. She grabbed anything within reach, bento boxes, chairs, threw them, tossed them, and flung them about.
ちょっとやめなよ、さとこ。あんた、どうしちゃったの？
She screamed out as if Mion's words had caused her physical pain. Oh my god. No one spoke a word to her. All the students were withdrawing behind us, leaving Satoko alone in the corner of the classroom. Around her, there were desks and chairs all over the floor. Bento lay scattered. It was terrible. All I could hear was Satoko's ragged breaths and the voices of the cicadas. The strings of tension loosened around Satoko. And maybe she suddenly grew scared of her own actions. Maybe she started trembling and gave a word of apology. But nobody knew just who that apology was directed towards. Well, I can imagine, like, multiple instances where that apology would be directed towards. So, for now, I decided to answer as everyone's representative.
いや、そっちこそ大丈夫か？
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Our words didn't match each other at all. Satoko hugged her shoulders, and back she went. Bang! She ran into the locker with the cleaning supplies in it. Even that made her give a little yelp. The impact caused the bucket atop the locker to fall, making a loud sound, and that scared Satoko most of all. Oh my god. I was gonna say, don't tell me that it actually hit her in the head or something. She almost jumped out of her skin, grabbing a bunch of the curtain in her hands. Nobody spoke to her. They could only look, not even remembering to blink.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。私じゃないです。私じゃないです。
Satoko, what on earth? I stood up, took a step away from everyone, and approached Satoko.
何があったんだ？
だから私知らないです。私知らないです。違うからもう嫌です。やめてください。許して
落ち着けよ、サトコ。俺がわかるか？
もう嫌だ。嫌です。
Every time I took a step forward, she grasped the curtains more tightly and cried out.
サトコ、俺だよ。ケイチだ。わかんないのか？お前に危害なんか加えない。だから落ち着けって。大丈夫だ。俺はお前の味方だって。
助けて。怖いのやだ。気持ち悪いのやだ。
Suddenly, my shoulders were grabbed and I was dragged backward. It was Rena.
ごめん、ケイチ君。ケイチ君はちょっと後ろに行ってて。
After pulling me back, she ran towards Satoko in my place.
大丈夫だよ、さとこちゃん。もう怖いことなんかないよ。
Okay, good. Cause it was Keiichi who started to like this reaction right over here. So there is no doubt that when Satoko sees Keiichi, she sees a particular someone else. So someone else has to jump in instead of Keiichi. Like, I don't know, someone like Rena.
ほら、安心して。やだ。もうやだ。でも、やだ。にー助けて。にー助けてよ
And she gripped the curtains and kept calling for Nini. She continued to wail about being forgiven for something and to be saved from something. What is this? Myung gnashed her teeth and groaned. There were tears falling from firmly closed eyes.
どうなってんだよ、これ。昨日で全部終わったんじゃないのか。今日からまた元の生活に戻っていくんじゃないのか。ミオン、ミオン。
Crash. That was a crazy sound. When I had taken the cleaning supply locker and kicked it down to the ground. Is she not even hearing all this commotion going on over here? When is she gonna come here and see what the fuck is going on here? My god. Everyone stood surprised. Everyone has an unexpected act of brutality. After that, Rena embraced the bawling Satoko from behind and started crying with her, stifled.
レナ、どうした？
ごめん。ケイチくん、ちょっと黙ってて。
Yeah, just be quiet for a minute, Keiichi. Like, I know you're trying to help over here, but the more you talk and the more you approach Satoko, it may end up being worse. It's not you. Trust me, it's not you. It's like she's imagining something worse, like right now. Like she's imagining something bad right now.
今のはなんだよ。どうしたんだよ。サトコから何か聞いたのか。何を聞いたんだよ。
サイナー。
Wow.
黙ってろって言ってんでしょ。
Rena's raw, hostile emotion hit me like a brick. It was no more than a momentary howl of emotion for Rena. But it was more than that for me. She had shown me what was behind all that emotion, what was in her heart.
サトコちゃん。やだやだやだやだ。もうやだやだやだ。許して。何もできなかった私たちを許して。ごめんね。ごめんね。
Forgive us for being unable to do anything. Rena's words made me feel as though the blood vessels in the back of my head were suddenly all turning to ash. My vision grew distant, blurred with grey, and the world lost its color. I thought we could save Satoko. But though I knew it'd be the sooner the better, I thought there was no time limit for doing that. I never even dreamed that we could be too late. I'd been making a huge mistake. I thought Satoko could be hurt, but never that she'd break. It was such a huge mistake. People, they break, thinking that they don't. It's absolutely absurd. We needed to save Satoko. We needed to save her before she broke. That fatal lapse in awareness had brought this on. Whose fault was it? That went without saying. Mine. No, ours. We all took on the duty of saving Satoko, but we were negligent to the point of laziness. In that sense, this was the inevitable result. Even if this didn't happen today, and it happened tomorrow, or the day after, or next week, we had just sat around doing nothing until that day. So this was the obvious result. I slumped down to my knees, just as Mion and Rika-chan had done. and I too closed my eyes tight, and I couldn't stop myself from sobbing.
何の騒ぎですか？
Ah, well, there you are. Finally, you're hearing all the commotion.
ちょっと、何があったんです？
The teacher came, and her face screwed up at the terrible spectacle before her. The instant she realized the teacher was here, Satoko went through another complete change. She wiped her face with the curtains, and, like nothing happened, smiled.
北条さん、これは一体何事ですか？
ちょっとレナさんと喧嘩になってしまっただけですのよ。お弁当をめぐってちょっぴり大暴れなんですの。ね。
Now, Rena didn't nod in reply. But then, since Sasoko wished it, she nodded without strength. The rest of the class couldn't keep up with her extreme changes. We all just stared in a daze.
ちょっと悪ふざけをしただけなんですのよ。皆さん、度肝を抜かれすぎでございますわね。
Satoko would probably sweep the whole thing under the rug. For what? Her heart is torn to pieces. So what? What else? You wanted your Nini to help, didn't you? Well, unfortunately for you, Satoshi doesn't ever intend on coming back. It's never that easy. He won't just conveniently show up and save you. So you don't have to wait for him anymore. He can cry, beg for help, and he can run away.
私たちが無力だから。
Mion suddenly said. She spoke them. Those few words had that tormented me countless times. Those words were a spell, and when I heard them, my whole body suddenly regained its calm. My emotions all slipped away like they'd never been there, like a wave departing. And then, the world's color flipped inside out. My field of view expanded. My head grew remarkably cold. I felt like my mind's volume had grown even wider than the classroom where we were in. Keiichi? At the time, my soul was doubtlessly no longer in the small petty vessel of my head, but floating in the air a little bit above it. It was a mysterious feeling of release. I broke free from the cramped confines of my skull and stretched out my roots in all directions as far as I wanted to. Keiichi? You know, after having such an episode, I was thinking of actually taking a break, just leave the classroom, go outside to take a breath of fresh air and, tear up a little bit after what the fuck just happened. And now you're ascending? You're becoming God? What the fuck, Keiichi? What is this? A strange feeling, and one I'd never felt ever before. An odd sense of exhilaration. My sharpened senses caused me to transcend. What the fuck? My mind was sharper than a knife's edge, and I immediately decided that spending the time to let myself be crushed with grief would be an absolute waste. I erased all the garbage information from my brain. I expelled the pointless emotions presenting obstacles to action.
ミオ、お前は呪ってろ。自分の無力さをいつまでも。
え？
If I could have taken back what happened by crying about it, I'd have cried all day. But the fact was, this was how things had turned out. I couldn't take back what had happened. The top priority then would be to prevent the situation from worsening further and to sever the chains of misfortune. Until today, I've been looking at things so narrow-mindedly I could scarcely believe it. To save Satoko. The only thing to do was to save Satoko. That's the only thing I thought about. Okay, well, what are you thinking here, Keiichi? Do you have something in mind? I didn't allow myself to realize the most basic, direct, and certain way of removing the source of Satoko's unhappiness. No, actually, I realized it yesterday. Oh my god. Keiichi just completely snapped, and now he's basically thinking of murdering Teppei, isn't he? But as for the means, I relied on some stupid curse from some dumb deity. I never considered carrying the task out myself. I would obliterate Satoko's uncle. Okay. I guess so. There were plenty of ways to do it. This was a task that held infinite methods. Ironically, the method of saving Satoko required mostly money, but the method of killing that man pretty much took no money at all. I could kill him with the least amount of investment, and the least amount of money suited him. It was only the weight of his life. I kept eliminating needless, worthless information from my head, replenishing it with only the knowledge I'd need to achieve my goal. You know, I feel like it would be like a minute or two ago when he started thinking this, and I just slapped in the face for thinking something like this. But I don't think that there's any stopping this. Keiji started thinking this, and he's gonna go all the way, isn't he? Unless somebody stops him. Oh boy. I used every cell in my brain to think about how I'd kill him. And the way I killed him didn't matter. I would allow any method, from whatever time and whatever country, as long as it ended in a quick and certain death. If I were to have an additional condition, it would be to not get caught. Removing him was an act designed to return the peaceful times we had with Satoko. If I was arrested in exchange for the removal, then we might as well have killed each other. With only him gone, we'd go back to our normal lives. And that was my supreme objective. My ultimate goal. Kill him. Definitely. But definitely don't leave evidence either. Two alternatives at odds with one another. The condition of not leaving a trace back to me automatically narrowed the number of murder methods. No witnesses was an absolute must. Fortunately, given the right time in him as all, there will be nobody around. I mentally reconstructed the land around Satoko's house. The number of pedestrians, different at different times. The movement algorithm of the neighbors. Would I lure him out, or charge at him? What would my weapon be? When and where would I carry this out? Where? It needed to be somewhere I wouldn't leave a trace. When? It needed to be as soon as possible, for Satoko's safety, without wasting even a millisecond. And this is absurd. Completely absurd. When I thought about it this way, it struck me how easy the act of killing was. If I could leave evidence, if I was just going to kill him, anyone could easily turn into a murderer. But our reason prevented that. He told us doing so would get us arrested for sure. In the end, being arrested by police was the final thing preventing people from committing homicide. No. It's our spirit that is preventing us from going that kind of dark pathway. Morality, so to speak. Absurd. If we went all the way out into the very middle of the ocean, you wouldn't leave any trace at all. Anyone would drop those they hated into the depths if they knew that. It was all too easy to simply remove him. I could leave class right now, grab a metal baseball bat or something from the schoolyard, go to his house and attack him. Oh, the irony of using the metal bat. The estimated time would be 25 minutes. If I went to us to kill each other, it wouldn't even be minutes. I could do it in 1,500 seconds. I knew just how much this continued existence depended on me. He was nothing. I could expel him from this world within just 1,500 seconds after making up my mind. From when I decided what to do, he only had 1,500 seconds. Actually, if I ran full speed to his house, that number would go down even further. But he was alive. He was still part of this world at this very moment, having torn Satoko's body and mind to shreds. Why? Because I was letting him live. I was permitting him to live, so he was alive. If I resigned the dead with permission, he would be evacuating this mortal coil within 1,500 seconds. You think I let you live to brave even 1,500 more seconds of air? I'm taking that permission back. Right here, right now. You better thank me for letting you live until today. I actually need more than 1,500 seconds. I'm not just gonna end you. Getting back our old lives is far more important. It's only you I'll be cleanly cutting out of this world. They won't find the culprit. I'll forget that I dirtied my hands on the likes of you as naturally as I brush my teeth before bed. So to do that, I'll make a special exception for you and give you more than 1,500 seconds. I'll give you special permission to keep on living as you have until I can construct the perfect plan for your murder. Wait, Keiichi. You can't let that time go to waste. Yeah, I know. I'll kill him quickly. I'll remove him with certainty. I wouldn't even waste much time to perfect that plan. With certainty. Think back. Tomorrow is Watanagashi, isn't it? Last year, on the night of Watanagashi, her aunt died. Her head was busted open by some deviant, and her brain splattered everywhere. That's it. He's someone who deserves to be given death on the night of Watanagashi. Hey, Oyashiro-sama. You call yourself a guardian, but you didn't protect Satoko. Cursing Satoko's family for the damn stuff is your own business. But now you made Satoko unhappy when she didn't have anything to do with it. I, Keiichi Maebara, hereby denounce you, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, a failure. We don't need you. Go back to the deepest, darkest path of your shrine this year. Besides, if you had just cursed and killed both her aunt and her uncle last year, none of this would have ever happened. The curse of this year is not on you. I'll be the one deciding. It won't be the three families controlling the serial deaths behind the scenes. No. Not some vague people who I can't tell if they're buffoons or not. This time, I'll be the one to deliver divine judgment. So don't get in my way. Just watch. Stay quiet and watch. I'll obliterate him. I'll wipe him off the face of the earth. I will stomp out his very existence. Go away, disappear, and die. I'll tear your heart apart just like you did to Satoko. I'll have your blood as payment. Oh my god.
Keiichi-kun, 大丈夫?
Alright, well... Are you calm right now, Keiichi? You were in your own world right there. Hopefully it just stays in your world. Rena, Mion, and Rika-chan were looking after me. Had I fallen to the floor?
急に倒れたからびっくりしたよ。うなされてなかった？うなってたよ。
うるさい。黄色い声で話しかけるな。
My friends gave a start and backed away.
なんだよ。
Rena and the others, they exchanged glances, unsure of what to say, and stood confused for a few moments.
今の、圭一くんの声。
当たり前だろ。
Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth.
今一瞬、圭一くん、すごい目だった。
目？光の角度でそう見えたんだろ。
I mean, it is no different from the scary eyes that you had, like, back then, you know? when you were hugging Satoko.
バカバカしい。
見間違いじゃないよ。あんな目、初めて見た。
What were these guys talking about? You've all been too scared of me lately.
前原圭一くんだよね。
What was Rena saying? Who else do I look like except Keiichi Maebara? The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently for those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized.
ごめん。気にしないでね。
Whew. That was quite the episode right there. Uh, 1005 seconds. Alright, well, it's time I take a break right now. Like, what even am I supposed to say to all this, guys? Like, it's rough. It's really rough. It's not like I can give, like, any solution to this. Like, what am I supposed to say in order to feel like I have the right solution to all this? Like, I don't. It's a really fucked up situation right here. There is no easy answer for this, obviously. It is such a realistic situation. Ariakey, you did it again. My god. And, you know, I gotta remind myself that Higurashi is the first, like, it was first before Rimineko. Like, I know about Ariakey's social working experience and such. I experienced it plenty with Maria and Rosa in Rimineko. And this right here... And, you know, of course, the simple act of murdering Teppei would solve some of it. I get it. I fucking get it. I've read plenty of murder mysteries before where the simple act of murdering someone would solve the problem. But of course, it is a morality thing. We cannot just do that either. It's basic. It's fucking basic. We cannot do this. Even if Teppei is such a piece of shit that deserves, like, all the punishment in the world. Like, complete imprisonment. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna end it, like, right over here. Oh god, don't tell me that this is actually gonna be the last part of the year. I don't want to end it like this. Am I gonna end it like this? You know what, I think I'm gonna do, like, a couple of more parts. I wanna see what happens on the Watanagashi Festival at least. I don't wanna end the year like this. So, yeah.